So to all gathered here today, parents, guardians of children at the early childhood level, I know some of you primary, secondary level, whether your child is homeschooled, they go to private school or public school, welcome, welcome, welcome. To all the grandparents who are here as well, aunts, uncles, well-wishers, friends, welcome. A special welcome to our children, to teachers who are here, lecturers, tutors, guidance counselors, welcome to you all. So this morning, we're going to just be talking about a few issues associated with going back to school, and we have a few teachers. This represents a small core of the teachers that we have here, because we do have a lot of teachers present in our assembly. So we have with us Sister Maria Rose, who is a trained primary level educator. She has worked with children at the early childhood level and the lower primary level. As you know, the primary level has an upper school and a lower school. So she specializes, or she works specially with children at the lower level. Then we have this is Sister Maria Rose, for those persons who don't know Sister Maria. Then we have Sister Kimberly Allen. Kimberly, let them see you. So Sister Kimberly is also a trained teacher, and she's also a teacher of Spanish, but she currently works with grade 2. Right. Okay. We have Sister Imogen Cummins, who is also a trained primary educator, and she works with children, especially at the upper primary level, particularly grade 6. She offers, so outside of her regular teaching duties, she offers one-on-one tutoring and group tutoring sessions. Her business is called IAC Tutoring Academy. So you can always see her afterwards if you're interested in help for your child at the upper primary level. And then lastly, we have Brother Matthew Bartlett. Not lastly, I'm sorry. We also have Brother Matthew Bartlett, who is also a trained educator, specializes in mathematics. I know you all see the sign language. He's should I say an expert, sir? But he's a very excellent math teacher as well. And he works with high school level students. He also offers one-on-one tutoring sessions in the area of mathematics. So he's also somebody that you can see. And then we have the guidance counselor of the group, and that is Sister Rashina Ellis. She's the president of the Jamaica Guidance Counselors Association. I'm very sorry. I don't know where I get Ellis from. Sorry about that. So Anderson, right. So she's the president of the Jamaica Association of Guidance Counselors. She's a trained guidance counselor, and she's also the author of the book, Expressions of Grace. Am I correct? Okay. Okay, please welcome them. Okay, and I'll be your moderator this morning. I'm also a trained educator at the primary level, and I also work with children at the early childhood level. I also tutor myself, and I homeschool my children. Okay, so this is our team this morning. Okay. So very quickly, our panelists are going to be sharing with you very quickly on some general back-to-school tips. There are some things that teachers would want parents and family members to know at the start of the school year to kind of help you to help them. You know, just some general things, so we're going to be talking about that. Before we get into that, though, some 3 quick points I want you to remember. So at the start of the school year and moving forward, we want to ensure that each child feels belonged. So that's a point to keep in mind. So we want to make sure that each child feels belonged, because when they go to school, there'll be other persons there that's willing and ready to accept them if we are not. Okay? The next thing, when your child goes out to school, make sure that they feel loved unconditionally. So they should know that you love them unconditionally. And the last thing I want you to keep in mind, to remember, your child should feel uniquely special. So those are the three things we want to go into the school year having in mind. So I'm going to start with Sister Maria Rose, and she's going to be sharing some basic tips, back to school tips for children or parents of children at the early childhood and grade 1 level. So Sister Maria will go first.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Uh, since the words are jumping on the paper, let me speak from my head. All right. Some of the basic things we need to teach our children before going to school. We can teach them like colors, the different colors. We can teach them counting, numbers and numerals, letters. But I would prefer if you not teach them, if you don't know the letter sounds, um, don't tackle that one. Maybe you could go on the internet and maybe get the better sounds to help them. We also teach our children social graces. May I go to the restroom? We could use I am sorry, please, thank you, good morning. Those are some of the things we need to teach our children. And we need to know that no two children are the same. You may have two children. One is reading at grade already at age 5, but the other is not, or maybe before. All right. So we need to also uh, persons who are working, like like doctors and mason and all of those persons, they take their tools to work, right? So we need to buy the tools for our children to take to school as well. If you are not able to afford all of them at the same time, try and get the book list early, and you try and tackle them two at a time. Talk to the teacher and find out what they need first, and try and get them, because sometimes our children are lonely in the classroom. Because not all the time teachers gonna write something on the board for them to do differently. So we need to ensure that they have their tools, the pencil sharpened in the mornings, and ready for school. The books are the books are there. I do normally put work on the board for the children who don't have a book, but sometimes they feel very bad. Sometimes these children feel very bad that this child has a book to use and I don't have one, and sometimes they even mark in the other children's book. So we have to be careful what we do to our children. So remember, teach them colors, counting, numerals, letters, and try to get the correct sound and social graces, and ensure that they have their tools for school.
Okay, thank you, Mario. And Sister Kimberly is going to share.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. All right, so I'm a teacher of grade 2, and some of the tips I'd like to give to you are get your child's teacher's number. It's important. So you can keep up to date with what is going on in the classroom, what's going on with your child. If that class is one that has a class group, make sure that you're a part of the class group. It is important that you keep in contact, regular
Excuse me,
contact.
Sister Kimberly, just to emphasize, you said the class group.
WhatsApp.
Okay, okay.
So if that class is one that has a WhatsApp group, it's important that you be a part so you can keep up to date with the happenings of the school, happenings in the class. Keep up to date as much as you can. Yes, as well. It is important that you check up on your child, call the teacher, send a text, whatever it is that you can do to assist your child. Check their books daily, see what they're doing, if there's any corrections to be made, see how best you can assist them. And if you can't assist them, that is the importance of having the number. You can call the teacher and see how they can assist you. Maybe you can, if you want to help your child and you don't know how to help them, you can ask the teacher. There's no shame in asking the teacher to tell you what to do or how this is. I've had parents come to me before and said, Miss, I want to help my child. I noticed that he or she is falling in this area, but I don't know the concept. And I sit and I'll teach that parent and they'll go back and assist their child how they can. So that is important to have the teachers keep up to date. Right. Um, as well, ask them what they've learned. Ask them what they've learned. If daily too, ask them what they've learned. If you're not able to do so daily, maybe you can let them have a journal, a little book, a little exercise book, and they'll write down in the book what they have learned, what they did not understand. And maybe at the end of the week, when you have some time, you can go through that journal with them and assist them as well. Have books at home separate from their class textbooks where they can practice at home. Give them reading books so they can read a lot. So reading is important, and practicing to read is important. The more they see the word, the more they pronounce their letter sounds and so on, then the better they will become at reading. Last thing. Last thing. Have a good relationship with the teacher. Have a good relationship with the teacher so that, you can see, all right, what if the teacher or the child is having an issue with another person? Then you can go in and speak with the teacher, thank you, with the teacher. And the good relationship that you'll have, you can easily settle things quickly and easily. So, yes, these are my few tips.
Okay, thank you. So Mario, Sister Mario represented the lower school. So grade 1, 2, and grade 2, 3. So before we move on to the upper level primary, which I know a lot of persons want to hear about because the PEP is the newest exam that the Ministry of Education has out. And I know persons are not clear on a few things with it. I'm going to just ask Sister Maria to quickly tell us what is the exam. So there's a national exam that grade 1 students have to sit. Yeah.
Okay. The grade 1 individual learning profile. They call it GOLIP, but it's GOILP.
Everybody heard that?
GOILP.
Yeah.
This instrument, it is used to audit the students, their cognitive skills, social skills, interpersonal skills, right? And it also helps the teacher to find out where these children are at so they can work with them from there.
So, excuse me, Mary. So, is there anything that the parents need to do to prepare them for that test, or they're to just come as they are, and then the teacher would assess them to see where they're at?
They do things like some of the things that they do literacy, like they do letters, letter sound. They pick out specific letters and sounds,
Yes.
and they give you the beginning and ending, like pick out the ending sound, ending sound and letter for the word.
Okay, yes.
They also let you write all the letters of the alphabet. A simple sentence. They ask you to read a simple sentence, write the simple sentence, and also draw a picture of yourself. The other part is the numeracy part where the children are asked different numerals. They're given a paper to write different numerals, the amount, and they do simple additions. They have pictures to show though. Simple additions and takeaways.
Addition with symbols.
Yes. And they have concepts, concept wet and dry. Because the teacher will take them individually after they complete the paperwork and take them individually and let them do different concept, wet and dry, before, behind. All of these little concepts. And after that, the government, the number is the information that comes from this test. It will be uploaded to another system where the children have the national student registration system.
Oh.
And this is where um,
Wait, so
this is for all the children who are enrolled in Jamaican schools.
okay, so everybody's aware of the NSRS. That's what she's talking about. So after they do that grade 1 diagnostic test, as she said, and Sister Marva was nodding as well, it's not a test that they have to prepare for prior to the day. So you don't have to drill them to come to do the test. It's just a test for the teacher to see where they're at and to help them to plan for them as they move forward. But as she's saying, at the end of that test now, they'll be given a number, and that number will take them right through the primary system. I don't know if it continues to the high school system. You can tell me if you know it does. Okay. So they get that number that follows them through from the grade 1 level all the way up. So every exam that they'll do, that number will be used with them. So the grade 1 exam is not a placement exam. Okay, it's just a diagnostic test for the teacher to see where they're at. The grade 3 test. Oh, you have something else on it?
Yes. And for this, that's the reason they ask the parents for birth certificate, because they want credible information. They ask for birth certificate, they ask for the passport, which is the immunization card, and your ID, because the information that they place in, they'll place this information on the system so that the child can get the number. And you get a card afterwards. You'll get a card afterwards. And if, say, for instance, your child don't get this card, you can maybe go to the ministry, take in the information, and do it yourself as well.
Okay.
Because I remember last year, there was a twin in my class. I signed up one, and she went through, and the other one, they told me that she was already registered in a school in Maypen. So you know that the parent would have to go or if the teacher would have to take the paper up to the ministry to sort out that one.
Okay. So she also said another point to note, if your child did not do the grade 1 test, it doesn't mean that all hope is lost. You can take them into the ministry. For example, I homeschool. I go straight to the ministry with my information to get that number if I intend for my children to do the testing. All right, so the grade 3 diagnostic test, that's what they do in grade 3. What subjects do they do for that test?
All right, so that test covers language arts and mathematics.
Okay.
It won't be added to the PEP results. It's just to see what the students have learned. The grade 3 teacher would use that information to better help the students upcoming into grade 3, and the grade 4 teachers would use that information to assist the child or children in their individual weak areas and what subject areas that are weak that they would need to work on, how best they can cover the topics that are challenging for the children per se.
Okay, thank you. So these are important things to note. So for grade 1, they have a national assessment. There's also one in grade 3. So you need to follow up on these things. The school is supposed to advise you and give you enough notice. However, if you don't hear them saying anything on it, especially if your child has done an assessment, and that we are going to have future sessions so we can go in more details on some of these things. We're just touching and going today. But if your child has done an educational assessment, let's say they've been diagnosed with autism or any other learning challenges or learning disabilities, then when it's time for these exams, you will need to take in the document that you get from the assessment to the Ministry of Education. So it's important, and you have to give them enough notice. You can't wait until a month before the exam. And really and truly, the school is supposed to follow you up on this. So if you got a letter, let's say you went to MICA or one of those private institutions that does assessment, and you got a letter stating that this is what your child has, these are the recommendations. The letter is supposed to be submitted to the school. And the school, let's say the test that you mentioned, the grade 3 test, the teacher is really and truly to follow up with the ministry to say, okay, this child was assessed and is going to need X, Y, and Z based on the assessment. But I always tell my parents, you don't wait on them because sometimes they're busy and they forget. Let's put it at that. You just go into them and remind them that, remember, so and so was assessed and they may need extra time. So the ministry will provide extra time or a prompter. A prompter is somebody who will sit with the child in the exam and kind of, like some children love to daydream. I can be like that. So they're looking all over the place and forget to focus. The prompter is supposed to sit with them and kind of remind them to, hello, look back at the paper. You finished already? Check over. They're not supposed to tell them the answer, but just kind of prompt them along. So it's within your rights to follow up on these things, right? Make sure you follow up on these things. All right. So I'm going to move on now to grades 4 to 6. And Sister Marva is going to share with us some tips. If the others covered some of the tips you wanted to share, Sister Marva, you could maybe move on to the exam part of it. But if not, you can go right ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. You can do much better than that. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Now, I want to see the hands of those of you who have students who are in grades 4 to 6. Raise your hand for me, please.
Grades
Good.
4 to 6.
Grades 4 to 6. Now, I'm going to be speaking to you because this part of the national exam, the prep, the primary exit profile, it starts at grade 4, and it is a very, very important part of placing your child in the school that Matthew teaches. All right, now, the profile begins at grade 4, and this is where all of the results are collated, and then the ministry uses it to place your child. You will hear words like performance task, ability, and curriculum-based tests. Now, the performance task starts at grade 4. I think they do 1. I'm not so much 2 of them. Math and language arts. The killer is at grade 5. They do 4 performance tasks. Now, you may wonder, what is a performance task and why is it such a big deal? The performance task is really a real-life example. It's something that we do every day. Sorry. What we found was that high school teachers, and I'm not talking elder here, used to complain that when the children reach secondary school or high school, they are burnt out and they do not know what to do. They could not process things because really and truly, GSAT was really drill and practice. So in order to think critically, the children were unable to do that. As such, the implementation of the national standards curriculum. This now asks the children to look at real life examples. Now, let me just give you a quick synopsis of what the maths would be like. And I'm going to stand. I'm not a sitting teacher. Okay. Now, let's say they are going to be tiling this auditorium. The children need to know the measurement of the auditorium. They need to know how much tiles they're going to buy. They need to know the workman who is going to do it. They need to know everything about doing this place. Now, after they have done their assessment, they need to now find out which hardware sells the material at a reasonable price. And after they have done that, they need to know which one they're going to buy from because of the budget that they have. You see how real life it is? Good. As such, we have to teach area, perimeter, decimal. We have to teach them how to think critically. The beauty about the performance task, and I'm just zeroing in on mathematics, is that you really, really can't get it 100% wrong. Now, let's say the child has $40,000 as the budget, and their bill will come up to $35,790. And another child decides, say, you know something, I'm going to go with the store that sells everything for $20,000. The thing is that the child who buys for $39,000 will not get it wrong. But in case if the answer is 3 marks, the child will get 2. If the child can justify, and they have to justify to say why I will buy from this store. So they say, I buy from this store because even though it is more expensive, I believe that the quality of the material is better because in my experience, cheaper things are not usually good quality. You can't give the child wrong for that. Okay? So that is basically what the performance task is about. The languages is the same thing. Do you hear they talk about they have to research and resources? The resources is they are in the paper itself. So they will give you 2, a comprehension, a poem, a flyer, and they will have to pull out the information from that to say why. Now, just wrapping up quickly, this is the deciding factor, the ability. The ability is what will place your child ultimately at the school of choice if they can amass scores of 80 and average and over. It's 40 questions and they must get at least 80 and over. All right, at 32 out of the 40. You hear? Just like that. Just like that. And they say we're not doing well in maths. Liars. Okay, so the ability is divided into 2 sections, basically language and math. But there are different components in it. So for the language aspect, you will have things like analogy, comprehension, artificial language, and all of those things. Now, we teach that. We teach that. So it causes them to think at a higher level. It may look like they are trick questions, but they aren't. They are questions that are coming from the curriculum itself. But whereas I would say 2 plus 2 is 4, they will say something like 3 numbers added together gives you 85. What are the 3 numbers? Sorry, let me go again. I'm talking off the top of my head. 3 consecutive numbers when added together give you 85. What are the 3 numbers? Now, you're going to have to think. How many are thinking right now? Put up your hand. If you're thinking, put up your hand. That's it. I hear the wheels of the brain turning. Simply, you divide the number by 3, and when you get the answer, you subtract 1 from the answer and add 1 to the answer. You get it now? Okay, you don't get it? 85. I just drew 85 randomly. All right, let me 85 can be divided by 3, right? I think so. We're going to have with some remainder, right? Good. All right then. All right, let's say you added 85 by 3, and I'm just talking this, and this is not the answer. And you get 27. Let's say you got 27 as the answer. Remember I said it was 3 consecutive numbers. So it has to be, so you get 27, you subtract 1 from 27, that's 26. And you add 1 to 27, that's 28. So it will be 26, 27, 28. You see how long it takes to forget it? But we teach that. All right. You got it now? Give her a clap. Give her a clap. Yes.
She's traumatized for the truth.
You're traumatized. Don't be. I am going to tell you, my time is over, but I'm going to tell you, don't be traumatized. Especially if you have a teacher like me in the classroom, because it's pure joke. I'm going to tell you why you should not be traumatized. Because after we have introduced this concept to the children, they begin to traumatize us. They begin to do their research. You need to know that your child, your children are very resilient. And there are things that they can do that we think they can't. The reason why it was said that GSAT, PEP is GSAT on steroids, is because the person don't know how easy it is to get this to the children. And I'll tell you this, the children that are slow, you see the example I gave a while ago about tiling the floor? A lot of men and women, adults, can't read and write, but they know the length of this class, this room, the width, everything. They know what to buy. They know how many tiles just by measuring it. And they can't read and write. Some of these children are street children. And when I say street children, they live in communities where they see everything going on. One of the oldest person I have tutored. And when I'm tutoring that person, I have to take that person in his vehicle, drive to a secluded location, and teach him that A says ah, B, K, D. Big man who walks into any bank and throw down money, and they beg him to bank with them. Can't read and write to save his life. Don't underestimate those people. So the children who are not so bright, they do well in those areas because it is practical. It is real. Don't be traumatized. Be traumatized if you're sending the child all over the place. That's where the trauma comes in. Are there any questions? Because I will talk until tomorrow.
Oh, we're not taking the questions quite as yet.
I'm not finished yet.
You're not finished. All right, thank you, Sister Marva. So let's go over quickly. So for grade 4, 2 exams. Performance task, math. Performance task, language arts. Grade 5, 4. Performance task, math, language arts, social studies, and science. And grade 6, 7. Ability test in February. March, 2 performance tasks, that's math and language arts. And then in April, 4 curriculum-based tests, right? So that is, pardon me? 8?
7.
No, it's 7. No, it's
7.
7. 1 ability
Ability,
test,
2
2
performance tasks,
performance, and
that's 3,
4
and
curriculum.
the 4 curriculum-based tests.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you think you would need more information on the PEP exams, we can arrange a separate forum to discuss that in more details. However, I'm going to put
I have had to call parents, or parents have come to me very irate. I can't understand this grade, Mr. Bartlett. I don't believe this. This is ridiculous. In fact, I'm carrying it to the board because, and I'm getting my lawyer. And I said, no problem. And it's carried to the board. And I have a list of all the failures, that the lack of work, the emails that I have sent to the parents, your child has not produced this work, blah, 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 so on and so on. And it came out in the board meeting when it should have come out when we were talking. And they were completely embarrassed that their child is as delinquent as I have said they are. Because I will say that they're being stupid. Please be diligent to support your children's character and academic development. It's essential and it's a daily thing. Some of your children are laughing now because they know it's the truth. If you see them giggling, it's because they know. Please take your time to care for your children. Apart from that, if they're going to a good school and they say the teacher is doing nothing, please believe them. Go to the school, ask some questions. Your child is not just in the habit of lying to you just because some picnic lie, but better you verify it than you realize that you've ignored your child and they do an exam and they completely bomb it because the teacher actually did nothing. Unfortunately, some of them exist in our profession. Please be diligent to be a part of your children's lives as far as school is concerned. Emotionally support them. If they fail, please don't destroy them. Take your time. encourage them to improve, and maybe take away the phone. I mean, my God, they will live. It's okay if their phone cannot go on TikTok. Give them a banger. Make them only can call you. Give them a laptop so them can go home and go on the internet. Without, they don't always need the phone.
Okay, thank you, Brother Matthew. Okay, very quickly. So I've noticed that most high schools are putting all assignments and coursework online. If you need help, don't be afraid to ask. I'm not going to volunteer the media team, but you can ask one or two of them if you're not sure how to access, because that has been a challenge for some parents. So they can't access, for example, at Jamaica College, I can speak on them particularly because I had to help a boy from there and his mother didn't know anything at all about going on Google, what was Google Drive? Google Classroom, sorry. So everything is there. So if you need any help, we can't go into the details of that now. Feel free to ask so that you can follow through and check. I know the primary schools are not necessarily at that stage as yet, but I know they're getting there. So if you need help with that, feel free to ask. Okay, Sister Rashina is going to share quickly. She's our last presenter, and then we are going to go. Thank you for your patience.
Greetings, everyone. Let me just say thanks for staying here with us this far. So Matthew has actually made my work much lighter. He covered quite a few of the points that I wanted to highlight. So I'm looking at some tips more from the mental, emotional side of it. When I look in the room, I realize that we have a lot of seniors. I'm not hitting your grandparents, but it's one of the challenges we see because the grandparents are growing the Gen Zs and it's not working out. It's a major, major clash. A lot of clashes because they don't have enough patience to tolerate the behaviors. So we find a lot of things happening. So I just want to say to the grandparents that are here, in order to grow this set of young people, this generation, it's going to exert a little more patience, more energy than you are used to, you know, when you were growing your children. And the eye doesn't work so much anymore. You know, there are some things that doesn't work anymore. However, I want to say, unlike Matthew, who is not paid to teach values and attitudes, as a guidance counselor, I'm actually paid to do so. But the truth about it is that we should actually be reinforcing it and not teaching it from the start. It actually begins at home. And so I want to encourage us parents to create a safe space at home for the children. Home should be safe. It should be where they want to come. It should be where they want to be themselves and express themselves and know that it is okay and they will be understood. And if you don't create that environment for them, then they're going to find it at school, find it on the street, or find it on an online social media platform that most of the times you are not even aware of. And so you want to create that space for them so that they can talk to you and tell you what is happening. Another thing that's very important is to encourage your children and acknowledge their small wins. If it's 10%, acknowledge it and encourage them from the 10% to work their way up. And Matthew highlighted, do away with the comparison. Don't say Mary's getting this, why you can't get this. It's want to get the same, this, the same, that, the same, that. No. Different children, different personalities, different pace, different levels. And so you want to work with each child where they are. And so acknowledge the little good that they do. Them now wash your plate as much as you want them to, but then wash it one time out of the 5. Commend them for the one time and encourage them. They may get to 2 and 3. So acknowledge the little wins. Thirdly, validate and affirm your children. How many of us here, when you were growing, your parents tell you, I'm proud of you? I say one hand, two hands. Many persons did not get it. And I can tell you, when I interact with my parents, then say, Miss, me never get that in, me no know if you do that in, me no. And then go on and on. Your duty as a parent, even though you did not get it, is to find a way because you know what it feels like not having it. And so you now have to go the extra mile to educate yourself and to be in a position to it as best as you possibly can. The validation and affirmation is crucial to your children's success. And let me tell you, we celebrate each year September 10 World Suicide Prevention Day. I'm going to tell you that lack of affirmation and validation to our children now again, the Gen Zs are carved a little different. Once they're not getting the validation, nobody loves me. And it's quick to go to the music that promotes the cutting and the violence and the loneliness and being withdrawn. So if they're not feeling the love at home, they're going to find it elsewhere. And most of the times when you talk to them, they said, nobody loves me. Matthew said it again. The children, the parents put on a face when they come to school that everything nice. And the truth is, for me, the counselor, when they come through our doors, we hear the truth because they let it all out, right? So as parents, let us do our best to validate them and use the word of God now. Start there if you don't know the other things. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Jesus loves you, even if you, the parent, don't love. Tell them that Jesus loves them. Start with the Bible. It provides much affirmation. You are loved, you are chosen, and remind them daily of these things. Another thing, parents, take nothing for granted. Listen to your children. Always give them the benefit of the doubt. And I must go down the path of where it comes to sexual abuse. A lot of times we don't listen. And we say, no, your uncle could never do that. Stop lying on your stepfather. Daddy would not. Listen to your children. Check it out. Let me say to you, a lot of parents say, oh, the guidance counselors should report. According to the Child Care and Protection Act of this country, every citizen, every adult has a duty to care and a report based on suspicion. So if you suspect that Mary is being molested, you have a duty to report. You can report anonymously and the authorities will investigate. It's better that it is investigated and an aside though than to know that Mary's been abused, and it continues all the way through school and that child may suffer for lack of self-worth, don't perform academically, and God knows what else will happen. All right? So 211, you can call 211, make the report, give as much details that you know, and you don't have to identify yourself any at all. You only identify yourself if you want to follow up. Again, and really your business that. Your business is the safety for the child. All right? If it's your own child confiding something in you, I know it get very sticky if a child said, your husband has been touching them or has been making appeals. It's a very uncomfortable position to be in. But guess what? Seek help. If you're afraid to go to the school guidance counselor, talk to your pastor or Sister Bartlett. Yes, and I'm on the spot. But they will give you some guidance and work you through it, right? Based on the nature of the case. And quickly, online safety. Parents, online is damaging our children. You must put some boundaries in place. And I tell you, to make my work easier. Give them a bang, they don't have access. Many of our parents don't know about Family Link. For those who don't know, make a note of it and check it out. You can download Google Family Link on your phone and you control the children's device through Family Link. So you limit their screen time, limit the apps that they have access to, and you can also track them once they have internet on the device. And there are several other applications that can help you to do so. Online is, again, as I said, let me touch quickly on human trafficking. Over 50 people have been trafficked from Jamaica here to do sex trade. They sell them overseas, and most of the times it's online. The children are communicating with persons that they don't know. They are communicating with persons they believe is teenagers like themselves, and they make connection to meet them at halfway tree. When they actually get there, it's an adult. They don't have any time to fix the error, right? So we need to be in the know, parents, of what is happening, what is trending there. The dark web is pretty much out there. Don't know how many of us know about it. So for example, on the dark web, a particular seller or trader might type, I need a 12-year-old, slim, light complexion. And within minutes of texting that, there are several persons. Where do you want to meet for it? What height, what that? And they get the details. A couple of years ago, an uncle sold a niece at an hotel. And when they get there, they would get the pay. But little did he know, it was a white man from overseas, and he was actually testing how well the dark web works. And several persons turn up at the hotel with a viable candidate of a female. The white man had it all videoed, and he probed and questioned him. So how did you get this little girl? He said, I'm a niece, man. His mother trusts me to keep her after school and that kind of a thing. Because it was an investigation, that child's life was saved. But there are many others who have been kidnapped, who have been taken away. And let me be real with you. When desperation and reality hits, when there are needs at home, the children sometimes take on the stress of the parents and the responsibility and try to find ways out. All right? So just be in the know of some of these things. Be in the know too of some of the codes that the children use. So anybody know what POS means? POS. Not point of sale at all. So if your child is texting, and some of them smiling, if they're texting and you're passing over them and you see them message a friend, POS, parent over shoulder. Nobody said that. Right? It's caution. And I tell you, as the parents catch on to the jargons and the codes, they change them. All right? So please, do your best and try to keep up. Time is far spent. Let me just make you aware of programs. You can get assistance. Many of us are aware that the Ministry of Labor and Social Security has a division called the Public Assistance Division. And through that division comes the PATH program. Also have emergency fund grants, right? And some other grants are there that you can access. PATH you can access for the children. You have the other grants in the case of emergencies and storms and so forth. You can access fund. You can also access fund for rehabilitation assistance, where you go in, explain your situation, and they'll give you money to start a small project to turn over income, right? So check with the Ministry of Labor to see what is there to assist you. Also, if you're in need of parenting support, training and education, we have the National Parenting Support Commission. They have several programs, and they have what is called Parent Mentor. So if you think you're mastering this parent thing, you can get further education to help other parents to get up to date and up to par. And one final program, if you have any child or children with disabilities or psychoeducational challenges, the Ministry of Education and Youth now provides financial assistance to help your child to get tested. So you know what is happening with them and they can be properly treated. And
Is that through Michael?
no.
Okay.
So they will, depending on what is happening with the child, they will recommend, make the referral as to where to go.
So they provide funding as well?
Yes, they provide funding to help with the assessment.
All right, we're going to have to put those things.
And never forget, talk to the guidance counselors within your child's school to find out what resources are there to help you. Sometimes there are past alumni that offer internal support that you don't know about if you don't ask. So ask the guidance counselors what is there based on your situation that can help.
Okay, thank you, Sister Rashina. Thank you guys again for your patience. We appreciate it. In future, we'll plan other forums at a different setting, maybe a day when we come and we fellowship and you can ask your questions. Okay, and thanks again, panelists. We really appreciate you giving us your advice from your specialized areas. And thanks again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you.